Hi, welcome to the Corner of Knit and Tea, episode 83. My name is Laura, also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at the cornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode's and every episode's show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called the Stashbuckler Adventures in Yarn, where I sell my handspun yarns. And we have a Ravelry group called the Corner of Knit and Tea. If you haven't come and joined us, please do. So hi, welcome to episode 83. It is Sunday, April 10th. This is my second try at podcasting. I went through the full podcast the first time and went to edit it together and the audio was borked, to which I said, oh crap. So I got everything back together and came back into my room. Hopefully it won't be too disjointed. It's a little hard to remember exactly what I said the first time and make sure I say it the second time. And yeah, so that's how my morning's been going. I hope that you have had a wonderful week. It has been busy here. Yesterday we played D&D, Dungeons & Dragons, all day with friends. So today is kind of a catch-up day, and I admit I would be getting more work done if I didn't have to redo it, but such is the case. Sometimes I know I am not the only podcaster who has been felled by this before. So let's jump right in. We have all of our regular segments today. That would be tea, knitting, and spinning. I will talk a bit about knitting in the Heartland, which is the convention that I was getting ready to attend when I spoke to you last. And while I don't usually do a section about acquisitions or stash enhancement, I will today because I got some wonderful things at Knitting in the Heartland. And then finally, we have a drawing for the All About Yarn braids. So it should be a busy podcast. The last time I recorded, it was about 36 minutes. So let's get started and see what happens this time. The tea that I am drinking today is organic coconut black. The post-it is because I received it from a lovely friend. This is from Liz in Tempe, and it is from Tea Time Scottsdale, and it is delicious. It's a blend of mine that I am hoarding because I love it so much. It is you really get the coconut and the black tea, and it is absolutely delicious. As you can see, I drank some from my mug in the first podcast, and I just zapped it, so it's nice and warm now. Although re-zapping in the microwave is probably not the best way to prepare tea. But that is in my Tivana kind of glittery, sparkly mug. I have drunk this one before. It is available online, and I will put a link to that in the show notes. But thank you, Liz, for today's tea. It has been kind of a little hot and cold here. It's very spring-like. Last Sunday and Monday, we got almost up to 80 degrees, but the mornings have still been in the 40s, and today I believe it is about 60, and we've got lots of winds. It's been in the 20 to 30 mile per hour winds this week. It's been kind of crazy. We had some thunderstorms this morning, and I think we're getting more this evening. So it's a little bit of everything, which is kind of what the Midwest is all about. So let's move on to the knits and the spins. I have one finished object this week. If you remember, I was test knitting a yarn for Kramer, the Belfast linen yarn, and I have a finished object. This is the Milo Vest by Georgie Nicholson, and I knit it in the approximately 1-year-old size because that was what I had the yardage for in the pattern, and I used almost all of it. As you remember, I was sent this yarn courtesy of Kramer Yarns, which is actually an interesting story. Kramer has quite a history as a mill for spun yarns. It started in 1887 and was originally Kramer's hosiery, and they produced ladies' hosiery and expanded over time to spin all kinds of different things, including yarns. In the early 1900s, another family actually bought the Kramer mill, but they decided to retain the name, and they still run Kramer Yarns today. So Kramer has quite a history in the United States, and they still do custom spun and custom milled yarns. This is their Belfast blend, which is a DK weight. It comes in 220 yards to the skein, and the yarn is it is a 4-ply blend of cotton, acrylic, viscose, and linen, and it has a really nice hand. It's very soft, and I really enjoyed working with it. I think it makes a really great summer fabric. I've seen most of the projects on Ravelry have been cowls, scarves, and then summer tops. And I think that is where it definitely its best spot lies. This is it is a little bit heavy because I will say that plant materials end up feeling a little bit heavy, but the garment itself feels like it breathes quite a bit, and I think it would be a wonderful fabric to wear in the summer. I will say that the yarn is hand wash only, and it comes in a variety of light colors. And so it may not be perfect for baby garments, although I really happen to like this one, and I think I will just make sure that I give it to someone who is comfortable caring for hand wash only garments. And I think it just came out, it's really, really sweet. So Kramer Yarns has a whole variety of yarns. I have knit with a couple other of their yarns. They have everything from acrylic to wool. They do have some fiber as well. So if you are interested, check them out. I will put a link in the show notes. And again, this was the Belfast DK blend. And I want to thank Stitchcraft Marketing and Kramer for allowing me to try it. It was a wonderful treat. So let's move on to what's on my needles. Last week I showed you a pattern that I was going to use for another review yarn, and the pattern itself is the Frost at Midnight cardigan. This is by Kate Davies, and if you remember, it is a lace weight cardigan with a beaded yoke. I believe one of the themes in this book was kind of jeweled yokes, or yokes as jewelry, and so that is why they added beads to it. As I told you, it was going to be a pretty simple and not super exciting knit until I got up to the yoke, which it has been this week. I spent quite a bit of time swatching. It took me a little while to get to a swatch that I liked. I am using the beautiful Merino yarn. This was generously sent to me by Manos del Uruguay. And I am using the colorway Arboretum, which is this beautiful green. And I don't know that you'll be able to see all the different colors. It looks like it was kettle dyed. It is a tonal. Sorry, there's a dog running around outside. Which I keep getting distracted by. It is a beautiful tonal. This is a superwash merino. It is a single lace weight, and it is super, super soft. I am really, really enjoying working with this. And I knit several swatches and ultimately ended up on an Addy 2, which is actually 3.0 millimeters, which I know usually is a 2.5, but Addy marks it as a 2. So that is what I am knitting on, and as you can see, I got through the picot hem and a couple inches into the body yesterday. So I'm pretty pleased with my progress, although I will need to really ramp it up if I hope to finish this sweater this month, which I do. You can see a little bit of the, I don't want to call it variegated because it's not exactly, it is all tonal, but you can see that it is not completely solid. It definitely is a semi-solid, and I am alternating balls to keep it from pooling too much, but I'm very happy with the way it's coming out. As I said, this is a sweater that is knit from the bottom up. I'm not going to give too much away because it is a paid for pattern, but I need to knit the body up, and then I will need to knit the sleeves, and then we will finally start on the yoke and the interesting part. So I'm hoping to make lots and lots of good progress. This is my first priority project this month. But it won't be super interesting for you to look at for the first few weeks. So bear with me, and I will eventually get to the more interesting part, and hopefully this will be a beautiful cardigan. Like I said, I'm very pleased with the way this is working up, and I will post a photo on Instagram today or tomorrow so you can really tell what the colors look like. That is currently living in my loop bag, which a dear friend went to London last year, 2 years ago, and went to the loop shop and brought me this fabulous bag, and it is perfect for the pattern and the 2 balls of yarn and everything I need. So that is what is there. The second thing that I cast on for this week is a shawl for the Shawl Knit Along, which I am co-hosting with Anne of the Woolly Wonka Fibers podcast and Woolly Wonka Fibers. And I decided to knit one of her shawls, and the shawl that I picked is the Beach Cove shawl. and that is by Anne Podlesak, is I believed how it's pronounced. It might be Podlesak. I really need to listen to her say it a few more times so I can get that in. This is a triangular shawl with some lace detailing. What you can't see because I printed it in black and white is that she did it in a gradient yarn from kind of a tan to a blue, so definitely Beach Cove colorways. And I am using my hand spun. And I am using that hand spun that I spun a few weeks ago in the bright colorways. It was the 2 If by Hand Freak Show, and I wound it up, and right now all you can see is the pink, but it is pink, 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 and then it also has some turquoise in it, and I thought, or teal, and I thought that would be nice, kind of more towards the edging. I think I'm probably going to call mine Party Cove, because it is the Beach Cove shawl, and mine is going to be such bright colors. But the nice thing is that the pink is, what I did was I spun this braid straight through, and so it's a variety of pinks and reds, and you can start to see that in my knitting. I haven't gotten too far this week, but I did want to cast it on since it is my co-hosted knit along, and as you can see, we've got some really reddy pinks up top, and down here it is getting more into a bubblegum pink. So I will continue to work on this. It is not my first priority this month. As you know, the knit along started March 1st and will run through April 30th. So please do come knit along with us. Again, the rules are you can knit any shawl, any yarn, and it needs to be knit between March 1st and April 30th. We ask that you were no more than 25% in on a work in progress as of March 1st if you decide to use a work in progress. And for those of you who decide to use one of Anne's patterns, the incentive is that there is an extra prize draw. There will be a couple prizes for the shawl knit along, and then if you use one of Anne's patterns, there will be an additional prize draw open only to those who use Anne's patterns. Of course, I am not eligible, but I did want to mention that. And what else did I want to say about this that I said the last time? There are 2 chat threads. There is a chat thread in my group, which is the Corner of Knit and Tea, and there is also a chat thread in Anne's group, which is Woolly Wonka Fibers. The final objects thread is only in Anne's group. We just wanted you to have one place to place your finished objects. But come and join us and see what's going on and knit along with us for shawls. So, and just as a quick note, this is in my Paris bag, which is by Sherry Knits, and that is Sherry Knits on Etsy, and I will put a link to that in the show notes. She does a variety of sizes of drawstring bags. So, that is what the knits are. Let's go on to the spins. So last week I showed you a crazy bright braid. It was oranges and yellows and greens and blues, and it was Corriedale, and I talked about how much I love Corriedale for socks, and I spun that up and it came out great. It is probably a sport weight, and I'm guessing between 3 and 350 yards, which seems to be about my default for now, and it reminds me of a tropical bird. There are oranges, there are greens and blues, there was a little bit of indigo, there was some teal, and it is just crazy bright. These are not really my colors, I will tell you that. The orange kind of throws it off for me, but it does. It looks like a crazy bright bird, and I think this would make amazing fun socks. This will be going up in the shop later today, and there will be photos, better photos, which show all the beautiful tones. I think you're missing some of the different greens and some of the different blues, because the camera just isn't able to pick them all up. So this was Hello Yarn Corriedale, But the Tree Glowed, and again, like I said, that will be up in the shop shortly. That brings me to what I will spin this week. This was a club braid that I got from Spunky Eclectic when I was in her club. I unfortunately had to give it up at the beginning of the year as I was trying to pare back a little bit, but this was my final braid and it was worth waiting for. This is a beautiful braid of Falkland, and it has mauves and pinks and browns, and there's a little bit that looks almost like a red, and I just love this braid. It is called Snow Lightning, and it was inspired by by an amazing photograph, but I thought I would spin this one this week because this is just a little softer than that bright braid. And again, it is Falkland, which I love. Falkland is very soft. It's quite a bit like blue-faced Leicester. It is long stapled and fairly soft. It is one of my favorite fibers to spin. It is one of the first fibers that I spun. So that is what I will be working on this week. I think I got through all of that a little bit faster than I did last time because I'm only at 15 minutes. But let's go into the extra segments of the podcast today. And that is, last week when I started to speak to you, I was just about getting ready to head out to knitting in the Heartland. The Kansas City area Knitters Guild, which is the Sunflower Knitters Guild, puts on a conference biannually every other year. And they invite a well-known teacher to come and give some classes, and it is a weekend-long event. Usually it starts with a Friday keynote with the featured guest, and then there are classes in the morning and afternoon on Saturday, and the morning and afternoon on Sunday, and then there is a wonderful vendor market that happens both Saturday and Sunday, and I guess it's open for a few hours Friday evening too. So it has become kind of tradition for my friends and me to try and go on Sunday. And I should say the guest this year was none other than Stephanie Pearl McPhee, who is the yarn harlot, which made it super exciting for us. Some friends and I met on Sunday morning and went to brunch, and then we went over and checked out the marketplace, and then we took an afternoon lecture class with Stephanie called Knit Smart. And I have to say the class was really wonderful. The essence of the class is that Stephanie talks about, and I guess I probably shouldn't call her Stephanie, but because we're not really on a first name basis, but what she talks about is how to, tips and tricks on how best to complete a project, from deciding you want to do the project, to picking a yarn, to picking a pattern, to swatching, and to getting through the project. And she talked all about things that most of us know about and some of us choose not to pay as much attention to. She also talked about some really interesting knitting theory that has probably been lost over the ages, particularly as knitting has become less of a tradition that is passed down through family members and through everyday practice. Sort of the idea that when people were knitting to clothe their family, and it was a regular family practice, you had grandma and mom, and actually up until recently knitting was not only a female driven, it was quite a bit on the male side of the line. So you would have family members teaching other family members how to knit from when they were very young, and learning how to create things, and also all these iterative steps in the learning process that we just don't get today because a lot of people learn from YouTube or from books. And I was fortunate enough to be able to sit with my grandmother and learn knitting. But I don't know that it was something that she really picked up as a child. And she unfortunately passed away too soon. She passed away when I was in my very early 20s. After a long illness that she had some form of dementia, so she wasn't with us for a very long time. And of course, when I was in elementary school, middle school, high school, even though I enjoyed sitting with her and learning, I wasn't really in a mindset to learn all that I could from her, and so quite a bit of what I have learned has been from books and YouTube videos and other knitters. So there were parts of the Yarn Harlot lecture that were brand new to me, even though I have been knitting for over 30 years now. And learned at the knee of my grandmother. So it was a very, very interesting lecture. I can definitely recommend that you take the class. It was also kind of fun just to be in a room with, I think we were close to 100 people, and we all sat and knitted and just enjoyed what Stephanie had to say. And of course, because she is Stephanie, she delivered it with quite a bit of humor, which was lots of fun. So that was a really, really nice experience. I am so lucky that I live in a place that where these events happen and where I can attend them. But I'm sure what you're actually looking forward to is what I bought. So when we checked in, we each received a gift bag or a gift tote for knitting in the Heartland. The logo is actually designed by my dear friend Anna, and I really, really love it. And as you can tell, I did my best to fill some of the bag up. Luckily, I didn't fill it up all the way. What I said in the first podcast is that I considered the market a success for me. First of all, this is one of my sort of excused buying opportunities this year. I had said that because I was going to a bunch of events and festivals, I wanted to mostly only buy there. And in that, I was super successful. I have been keeping a list of projects that I want to undertake and trying to go to festivals with some ideas in mind so that I can purchase yarn for specific projects. And in that sense, I did pretty well. I came in with more than 2 projects, but I purchased yarn for 2 projects. Of course, then I fell down and purchased a few other things. So let's get through there. The first skein that I saw when I came in, it was not the first skein that I purchased, but one of the first skeins that I saw was a beautiful pink and purple skein. And I had been looking for a big skein of yarn to do Roxy's 3rd birthday sweater. Her birthday is not till October, but I figured I might want to work on it this summer, and it would be a good place to look for something that would make her a unique little sweater. And so the first place that I stopped was Threadhead Designs. And Marcy Blank, who is the vendor, she vends at a variety of places. She is part of the Fiber Guild, so she vends at the craft show that I do each year. I know she has vended at the Renaissance Festival in the past, and I'm sure she does quite a few other shows and festivals. I think she has a site, although I'm not sure if she actually... Well, okay, I know she has a website. I'm not sure if she actually sells on the website or if she mostly does festivals, which is one of the nice things to... one of the nice reasons to shop with her when I go to these places. And this is a skein of 560 yards of superwash merino in reds and pinks and purples. And this will be a beautiful wee sweater for, well, not so wee sweater for Roxy this year. It is 560 yards, I believe. Yep. And it's, like I said, 100% superwash merino wool, and it goes from this reddy pink into purples and into dark purple. And as you know, my girl loves pink and purple, so I hope that this will be a good sweater for her. I think I've even settled on a pattern, but I'm not sure yet. But I'm sure you will see this as I knit on it this summer or fall. And again, that is Threadhead Designs, and I will put a link to everyone that I'm mentioning in the show notes. Some of them do not sell online, they mostly sell at festivals, but I will definitely put a link to them so you can check them out. So that was the first skein. The second project that I went into the marketplace looking for is the Exploration Station Shawl by Stephen West. Eric of the Sticks and Twine podcast is doing a knit along right now with that. It was one of Stephen West's mystery knit alongs a couple summers ago, and I have always wanted to knit it and have only stopped because I need to buy, well, I probably could match from Stash, but one of the things that I was thinking about is trying to buy 4 colors on the same base yarn colorway, or the base yarn, so that I could knit the sweater. Or knit the shawl. I am seriously having problems. And so one of the places that I decided to look for 4 colors is Treasure Goddess Yarns. And that is by my friend Christine. And she's at treasuregoddess.com. And she also has an Etsy shop where she sells her yarns, and she does a variety of local festivals. And I went into her booth and dithered and dithered and dithered and found what I was looking for. As you can see, I got Treasure Goddess Yarns, Treasured Toes sock yarn, which is a 75-25 superwash merino wool, 25% nylon, 463 yards. And the first one that I picked up is Song of the Sirens, which is this beautiful burgundy. And then I picked up this beautiful orange, which is Lusty Wench. And then I picked up this beautiful turquoise, which is Kiss from a Mermaid. And then I needed one more to balance it all out, and I picked up Walk the Plank, which is a beautiful brown. So these are the colorways that I want to use for my exploration station. I am super happy with all of them. They are beautiful semi-solids. I have no idea when I will knit this shawl. I'm thinking maybe this summer will be a time for shawls when it gets warm, but I will definitely knit this, and I love these colors, and I am so excited that Christine had these colors. I will definitely put a link to her shop because she has an Etsy shop and she sells all of these things and more, and she does some beautiful, beautiful work. I have knit with her yarns before, and I love them. So those were the 2 yarns that I bought for projects. As I said, I was going to try and avoid picking up random skeins, and that worked to a degree. So the next skein of yarn that I absolutely fell in love with was at Show Me Yarn, which is actually yarn that Dawn, Knitting Wolf, actually talked about recently on her podcast. This is Show Me Yarn. It is on the Boot Heel base, which is a fingering weight, 80/20 superwash merino nylon, 100 grams, 400 yards, and I got the self-striping colorway Aunt Gigi. And she had samples of her striping yarns knit up, just little tubes, so that you could see how they would knit up, and she totally got me. This is Aunt Gigi. It is a hot, hot pink, a purple, a bright green, and a charcoal, and it is absolutely gorgeous knit up, and the stripes are slightly different lengths. I believe the charcoal are short stripes. They're only like 3 or 4 rows. Everything else is longer. And I cannot wait to knit this up into socks. This is just beautiful, beautiful yarn. And actually, I'm hoping I will have enough left over that I can knit Roxy a small pair of socks too, because I think she would love these colorways as well. It's got pink and purple, which, as you know, are her favorites. So I couldn't resist a skein of Show Me Yarn, and I know she has a shop on Etsy. There wasn't a ton in there because she had taken most of it to festival, but she's probably gotten that back up now, so you can definitely check her shop out on Etsy. The other booth I fell down at was Nerd Girl Yarns, and Nerd Girl, of all the vendors that I've talked about, Nerd Girl probably has the biggest shop and online presence, although she does do some local festivals, and that is Nerd Girl Yarns. And she has all sorts of colorways, all based on nerdy fandoms. This is the Dingo Fingering Base, which is a fingering 2-ply, 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon as neps, 438 yards, Met Him on the River. As you can see, this is beautiful blues, and it is a tweedy yarn, and I allowed myself to buy this skein because I have wanted to try all of those different tweedy yarns, and have not bought a skein before. So I decided that I would let myself buy a skein because it is a new to me yarn. I have worked with Nerd Girl yarns before, but it is a new to me yarn base and aesthetic, and this will be some beautiful, beautiful socks, I am sure. Have no idea when, but eventually. So I was feeling pretty good about that, because that was a couple projects that I wanted to do and a couple splurge skeins. And we were getting almost towards 1:30, which is where our class started, and we had decided to sort of finish up in the market, and my friend Anna, who I was with, she was the one who designed the logo, said, I just need to go back to one booth. There was a set of mini skeins that I really, really wanted to buy. And so I went back with her, and we know what happened. This is a wonderful dyer. She is kind of new. She said she has been dyeing for years, but she has only recently started dyeing as a business. And right now, I believe she doesn't even have a website. Right now, she is only vending at festivals, and she sells through a local yarn store. And her shop is called Stone Soup Fibers, and these are her Elements colorways. And the first thing that I fell in love with was these skinny skeins and these 5 skeins. And it is kind of an orchid colorway, and this is kind of a silvery purple, and then we've got 2 shades of blue, and this looks blue on camera but is almost a little minty as well. And I just looked at these colors and could not pass them by. So then, and this is a generous yardage. It is 475 yards. These 5 skeins are 100 grams. But I looked at these and thought I need like one more color, kind of either a pop color or a neutral color, so that I could make a shawl. And I looked and I found this one, which is kind of a cross between a tan and a mustard. And I just thought that it set off these skeins, particularly the orchid, quite well, but actually all of them. I mean, it looks great with all the blues and the purple and everything. So this one is 225 yards, and this will become a shawl. Anna actually got, her colors are entirely different, but she got a set the same as I did, one set of the mini skeins and then one regular skein. And so we've been looking at patterns, and there actually is a brand new pattern out by Melanie Berg that we might knit, although we would each need to buy one more of these skeins to be able to knit it. So yeah, that's the one I fell down on, and really, really should not have, but could not resist. So the last little thing that I bought at the festival, and this really was a little thing, was we wandered through the booths and I found this adorable booth called Magpie Wishes. And she is on Etsy, and she sells a variety of bags, sock bags, needle minders, all kinds of different sizes, bags to hold your needles, like needle organizers. Just everything was sewn in this booth, and it was beautiful. And I fell in love with these little foxes. You've probably seen this fabric elsewhere, but I just fell in love with them. And this is a spinning wheel bag. This is a small bag, as you can see, it's not super big, and it is meant to hang off of my spinning wheel and hold my tools, like my orifice hook, a little bit of oil for the wheel, some waste yarn if I need it later on a bobbin, just all the little things that you would have with you while you're spinning. So I just could not resist, and so now I have a little bag to put on my wheel, and I can't wait to go out and put it on my wheel now. I've been saving it so that I could show you. So that is what I bought at Knitting in the Heartland. It was a fabulous adventure. It's probably good it only comes once every 2 years, but it was a wonderful time, and I hope you enjoyed a little bit of seeing that. So we are now at the final the final moment of the podcast, which is where I was going to do the giveaway. As you remember, I showed these braids last week. Sorry, I'm just kind of getting them ready to show. I placed an order recently with my friend Jenny from Owl About Yarn, and she graciously, and this is a cute little owl stitch marker, this will go to the winner. She graciously sent 2 braids along, one for me and one for the podcast, as a giveaway. And the 2 braids are, this is a Polworth Merino, and this is in Velvet Waistcoat. And again, it's from Owl About Yarn, and this one's just beautiful. It's got burgundies and pinks and some browns. And then the other one is a Superfine Merino Silk and Stellina in bright colors, pinks and purples, and you can see the Stellina in there if I twist it just right. And this is the Princess colorway. And as I told you, I couldn't decide which to keep for myself and which to give away, so this is winner's choice. We had 28 entries in the thread, which meant that I was running posts 2 through 28, or 27 entries, because the first post was mine, and the winner was post number 23, which is Alita Casey. So Alita, please message me and let me know which of these beautiful 2 braids you would like, and send me your address, and I will get that out, and I will also add some tea in there for you. So yes, that brings me to the end of the podcast, and I'm at 33:20, which means I covered pretty much everything I said last time. I might have said it a little bit faster this time, but since I'm so close, I'm pretty sure that I did okay. Thank you all for joining me today. If this was your first time, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will come back again. If you came back again, then thank you so much for spending time with me. I know that there are a million podcasts out there, and I watch a lot of them, and I just thank you for spending this time with me. So I will say, as I always do until I see you again, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!